to episode 87 of Antenna Heads, where we cover the best of TV from today and yesteryear. I am Brian Cassis, joined by Cristina Arujo.
Yes, that's our name.
And Alex Arujo.
How you doing, Brian? Brian's pointing at us, so he says our name.
And Al's pretending like he has lasso boobs.
I do.
This is the new Sábado Gigante.
Yippee-ki-yay, what a shame.
And Al's not scantily dressed enough for Sábado Gigante.
Y fuera! ¿Qué dice el público? Y fuera! All right. That's all the Spanish you'll hear from me this
Good
episode.
job.
Thank you.
Live.
No, you sing that song. The song that they sing whenever.
Gaño, 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 gaño. Claro que sí que gaño. I'll just splice it in. I can do that.
It's not gaño, it's gano.
Chacal.
Brian, high school Spanish.
What'd you get on the Regents?
86.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's mixing Portuguese and Spanish.
I know, it's okay.
Yeah, jackass.
Phil will notice, but his Spanish is...
Are you talking about Phil Spanish?
Yeah.
So what are you talking about, Phil
let's talk about
Spanish?
your Portuguese for a second, Brian.
Yeah.
How about that?
You're non-existent Portuguese.
Yeah.
All right, I didn't take it in high
Bitch.
school.
Fuck you, Brian, yeah.
Talking shit.
That's right, that escalated quickly.
What
Indeed,
got you down at the kneecaps, bitch?
I thought it was done, and then
I got a knife for my birthday. I'm not afraid to whip it out.
I prefer you didn't. I have a race tomorrow.
That's true. Half marathon?
No.
Where's my garrote, Al?
5K.
Oh, what a bitch.
My knee, you know what the problem is? My knee has been killing me.
Oh, man, you hit 30, and then that knee starts to go, doesn't it?
And I got another race next Saturday, too.
Yeah.
And I have a cold.
And you're not doing well at all. You
No.
really just, you'll be falling apart. Your arm's going to be hanging off by kilometer 3.
But I don't fuck around. I'm going to go do the race.
Good for you. Definitely doesn't go to the race. He's going to go, run to Dunkin' Donuts to get some free, pastry.
First of all, I'm going to live
Yes.
track it on my Garmin watch that I'm testing. And I'm going to invite you. So
You're
you
going
can
to
watch
invite me.
So you can watch me do it.
I can promise you I won't do that. I will be going to Dunkin' Donuts and getting some pastry at cost because I don't have your magical controls.
Not just at cost. I went in just for coffee, and I walked out with 4 donuts.
And I didn't get a coffee.
No, I got a coffee.
Here's your 4 donuts. Well, this worked out well. Strolls out. Chris, we're back.
We're back.
From last week because that was the last time we recorded a show, of course. Lying makes everything true. How have you been? We returned from Ohio earlier this week, spending some time with our lovely family out there in Ohio, which is where they live.
Yes.
Say something, Chris. It was fun. It was
Yeah,
fun.
it was great.
We ate lots.
We
Lots
ate
and
a
lots
lot.
and lots.
I probably had more pancakes in that 1.5 week period than I've had in the last 3 years.
Bob Evans.
Al was like, okay, whatever you do, Phil, I'm going to do.
I did do that.
Whoa.
So,
I kept up for him tit for tat.
I mean, sometimes you didn't, though.
Hold on.
Sometimes,
I beat him in
sometimes
wings.
you were like, yeah.
Wings.
I ate more wings than Phil.
Okay, but it was a wing buffet.
It was.
And if you had seen the meat that was left on Al's wings.
It's still not.
And Phil had other things from the buffet besides
He did.
just wings, whereas Al had
But
solely
he
wings.
did that because he gave up on wings and he wanted some other stuff. So him quitting is basically a forfeit. So I won.
No.
Yes, it is.
Still not going to agree with
I had probably the biggest breakfast I've ever had
that.
at
Made
a
her
bar.
own steak at a vineyard.
We did, yeah. It was very good steak. Phil cooked mine because I don't know what the hell I'm doing on a grill.
I don't, but I did it anyway, and it was delicious.
Very good steak. I had the biggest breakfast I've probably ever had at a bar. Tanks, was it? It was Tanks?
Yes.
Very good breakfast, too. Very good pancakes. Best pancakes I had the whole time, though? Cracker Barrel.
Oh my god.
Their pancakes are delicious.
They're very, very good.
Their multi-berry pancakes are insane.
They don't fuck around with pancakes.
Oh my god. I was like, this is without a doubt the best breakfast that I've had here.
Cracker Barrel breakfast is pretty good. The problem is if you're trying to watch what you're eating and you having to go to Cracker Barrel 5 times, it's...
Let me tell you, I was doing 600
go to
push-ups a
Cracker Barrel.
day just to even it out. It was fun, though.
He's
Seeing
like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have some pie, but I gotta do some push-ups first.
Phil. Oh, we did go to Der Dutchman, this lovely Amish restaurant place.
Which is enormous.
Yeah.
And not run by Dutch people, by Amish people.
Maybe not. I don't know.
Didn't seem like they were Amish.
Not a lot of buckles, no. Not a lot of OGs and gosh and bigaras and churns. Distinct lack of
that
churns.
sounds like they're all from Minnesota and not like they're...
I don't know.
I don't know what's wrong
Where
with you.
is this going?
Nowhere. Fast. So let's get back on track. A lot of shows premiered very recently. There are some we're never going to talk about because they look like they're already going to get canceled, i.e. Weird Loners. Fuck that show.
I wanted to watch that show.
You can watch it.
Watch
I
it
did
on your
not.
own.
I don't even remember what it was about.
You were angry that you had to watch 2 episodes.
I
of
was
the show we're gonna talk
angry
about in a
because
minute.
I watched 2 and we didn't have to watch 2.
Right. So we're going to look at some of the new premieres, including...
That's what you have to do. What Brian doesn't say. Do we have to watch 2 of the?
Oh, you mean be annoying?
Yes.
Yeah, essentially.
Bug the shit out of Al. That's what you have to do. So we're going to talk about a lot of new shows, including Netflix's newest drama, very superhero-focused show. Well, this whole show is very superhero-focused, actually. If you consider
Yeah.
American soldiers
You consider
superheroes.
they are.
They are indeed. I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free.
That cheapened your previous statement.
It always does.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're talking about a lot of shows here. American Odyssey is the first one on the docket, even though you guys don't like me saying docket. Chris.
Yep.
Tell us about NBC's newest drama.
Well, I did watch 2 episodes,
You
so
did.
I should be able to describe
You're
it.
well versed in the show.
Essentially, it's sort of like a Crash-esque show where it's all these overlapping stories. They do seem to highlight the fact that, people are constantly running past each other. Like, characters that we're learning about are constantly running past each other. Essentially, there is a team of soldiers in Mali that are going after basically a terrorist. I guess, a Saddam Hussein type terrorist.
Mm-hmm.
I think they make him out to be the head of Al-Qaeda.
Yes, they do.
And they basically kill him and then find information on a computer that shows that they've possibly been getting Al-Qaeda's possibly been getting money from an American company, a lot of money from an American company called the SOC. We meet another character named Peter, who is basically, I think he works for a company that is merging with SOC.
Mm-hmm.
And he's basically trying to find out all the information that he can to see if this is a good idea, or the person, the company that they're merging with. Because SOC has like a bad
reputation.
Yeah.
And he also is a former U.S. attorney yeah.
who was kind of kicked out.
For being too good at his job.
Do they really say what he
No.
was? No, they don't really say what he was kicked out
He's
for.
too patriotic. Get out of here.
And then, excuse me, there's also a storyline with basically a famous author's son who is sort of leading, or he is I guess I don't know
He's the
if
leader
really
of this like
leading
Occupy protest.
Wall Street sort of movement called
Yeah.
the G8.
No,
Right,
they're protesting the G8 summit.
Yeah. But the G8 summit protesters or whatever. But it is very much like Occupy.
But the main story is really of one of the soldiers, Odell Ballard, who after her platoon or her team is killed after they themselves kill this terrorist leader, she basically has to try and get back home by herself, while also trying to avoid this private military who essentially has been hired to kill her.
Yep. Well, essentially, when they are getting information from the computer, she saves. Well, her colonel basically calls and says, don't touch anything, don't do anything. We have a team coming in to clean everything up. So it turns out that the team that they sent in was a private military.
Osella.
Yeah, that basically
The military for hire.
God, yeah, but what is it? What's the term?
Private
Mercenaries?
contractors.
Mercenaries for hire, basically. And they come in, they basically take all of any evidence that's there, and they're basically like, okay, we're good. And they leave, but the guy who's looking at the information on the computer, he keeps looking around like something's up, and
he gives Odella that knowing glance that always means something on
well,
shows.
he sees that the files are open.
Yeah.
He sees they've looked at these. the information is out.
He must have also seen this like large pile of flash drives that were just sitting there because she like picks one up quickly and puts it in. I'm like, why are there so many flash drives just sitting on that table?
I don't know.
It's
Anyway,
like a Staples in there.
the team leaves on camelback, or they say horseback, but they're camels.
Yes.
They were riding camels, I believe. And, you know, they're camped out for the night, and there is a missile attack while Odell walks away to go watch the video that's on her phone of her daughter.
And she also goes to the bathroom.
That was the
Which is a weird
pretense.
combination.
What was the pretense for leaving?
No, but doesn't she actually go to the bathroom?
No, she was pissed, and she she was pissed because of what the guy was saying about, oh, you know, you disobeyed orders and whatever.
You're right.
So she hears the helicopter, they land, and she thinks, you know, it's help. She looks up, she sees that it's the Ozella team, and she thinks they've come to help. Really, they start shooting people, and so she tries to hide behind the edge of the dune. I don't know. I'm not a geologist.
Right, so
geographer.
she eventually gets, later the next day, she gets kidnapped by these militants in the area. And
who want to sell her to, God, what was the... There's an A and then a B.
I didn't care.
There's two words, A and a B.
I didn't like the show enough to actually pay attention that closely.
Basically, another group of,
right.
I guess, terrorists or...
And by the end of this episode, she and the son of the guy who kidnapped her are basically... Aslam. They're basically trying to... Asland.
No, it's with an M.
Oh, it's not what S.E. Buttons.
No, it's
boyfriend.
Aslam.
They're trying to escape this private military force that's trying to kill her. So they join up with this band that's on some sort of pilgrimage.
To Timbuktu.
Right. Let's talk about the show. Well,
it's important to note
yes.
that before they do that, she tries to call her family.
Mm-hmm.
They don't answer, but the Aslam, he sends a picture of her saying that she's still alive. He basically sends it to everyone. He tweets it or posts it.
He sends it to Al Jazeera, and then they pick up the news story. And that's important because the U.S. government had been reporting that all of the soldiers had been killed.
Yes.
Again, illustrating that the government's trying to wipe her out.
And before she was, you know, taken, she did send a email to her colonel saying that she's still alive and then she's still at the same coordinates.
Right. So clearly, you know, the government is in bed with this company, SOC, and they're both trying to get rid of her because she has important information that could hurt them. And basically, this cover up is the main story that all of these characters are connected into.
Yes.
I thought that this was a really boring show. For as many things as they have going on, I was shocked within the first 20 minutes of just how boring everything was and how predictable everything was. I was telling Chris before the show that the first 20 minutes are utterly predictable. I mean, the scene where the private military force comes in, but even before that, where you see her looking at the computer, and in my mind, I'm going, she's going to find something, some piece of information that's important, and she's going to copy it right before somebody destroys it. And damned if that isn't what happens. And even when the private military force does the heel turn, is the phrase I'm going to use because I'm a wrestling fan, and kills all of the soldiers, that was utterly predictable too, because you had already seen them kind of have some sort of strife between one another. So there's nothing in this show that's particularly exciting or original. It feels really derivative also because the storyline here where there's this protest and this Occupy movement, and also the killing of this terrorist leader, which is obviously an homage to killing Osama bin Laden. It feels like the show was written in 2011 or 2012. Yeah. It just feels very done. Am I wrong?
When Twitter had SMS updates.
Exactly, back then. But it's obviously, it takes place in modern times because they talk about the SEAL Team 6 team and being as popular as they are.
He's in freaking Mali. Right. I don't think he's got, the latest technology in the freaking desert, so.
No. Brian, what'd you think of the show?
I thought it was okay. There was nothing about it that really stood out. I thought the acting was subpar overall. I felt bad for Chuck. I forget her real name.
Anna Friel.
Anna Friel. She was on actually favorite show of mine.
Pushing Daisies.
Pushing Daisies.
Mm-hmm.
She was probably the only good one. The kid that had most of the other screen time.
Aslam.
He was it just.
I thought he was good.
He was good.
I thought he was fine for a kid, but again, he didn't blow me away. None of the acting really did blow me away. To echo Brian's point,
and not just that, but he's an integral character in this.
He is.
He's going to be, part of the Odd Couple as they travel to make the pilgrimage.
Because that's a story that hasn't been told a million times. I mean, and the overall story is a very classic one. It's something we see all the time. Person tries to get back to family. It is
The
Homer's
Odyssey.
Odyssey. That was that was where they derived.
That's why it's
the
American
idea.
Odyssey.
Very good.
See?
Very good. This is why we have you on the show to put these things together.
Right.
It's
You see these
very,
stars on my
very
shoulder?
done.
See these stars?
Yeah, but
No.
Because I'm Captain
as
Obvious.
we'll see in the last show we discussed,
Uh-huh.
there's a way of showing how controlled and connected everything can be, and how difficult it can be to kind of, be on the wrong side of this and fight your way through as the underdog. This is definitely a David and Goliath story, to be even more simplistic, I guess. But the problem with this is this smells of NBC's desperate attempt to literally try and take shows that are popular on cable networks and recreate their own. So the way that everybody complained that Allegiance was just like the Americans,
Which I love.
which the creators of the Allegiance said that it was absolutely not.
They're right, because the Americans has been going strong for 3 seasons and got a 4th, as where Allegiance will probably be gone in a couple of episodes.
This
love
show
Allegiance.
has a very similar connection to Homeland, which is very popular on Showtime. The difference, though, and I think was pretty much what sunk Allegiance, was that the acting is just not as good.
Mm-hmm. I thought that the
Story is like, whatever, but acting will take a so-so story, at least for a pilot, and get you to carry over and want to see more episodes.
I thought that this felt a lot like some sort of 90s action movie, like Independence Day or maybe Godzilla, where you have this big cast and they'll all interact with one another, but they all have their little niche of either the soldier or, the scientist, or in this case, the protester or the businessman. And they all have to deal with this one situation, which in this case is this U.S. cover-up, or in Godzilla is Godzilla, but there's no real character development and there's no real meaningful scenes or good acting.
You
it's
literally... Okay, this is the thing, though. You're saying that there's no character development, but you saw the first episode.
Yes.
So
but
saying that there's no
if you
character
look at a
development
show,
when you saw the
well,
first
we're gonna talk about
episode
it later on
is
in
a
the
little
show.
presumptuous.
No, it's not. If
It
you look,
is.
yes, no, it's not, and I'm going to tell you why. If you look at a show like Daredevil, which we're also going to talk about, spoiler alert, in that one first episode, there's a tremendous amount of character
This is
development.
why. Because it's one character.
I would argue, but several characters are developed quite well.
Okay, there are 3 characters that you really delve into, and of them, there's one that's highly focused on. I would not say that his partner is delved into in terms of his background at all, except for the fact that that he doesn't like that cop and that he buys
But
cigars.
you
for the
don't have
cop.
to go into the background to develop a character. You have to establish the character's point of view and make me want to see more about this character. That's really what easy pilot character development is, and none of that happened in this show.
I'm still going to
American
disagree
Odyssey,
with
rather.
you, because personally, I'm not saying the whole show was gold, but I really enjoyed Anna Friel's character. I really enjoyed her interaction with Aslam. I thought that, well, you also have to take into consideration that I watched 2 episodes, and I'm not exactly sure where everything cuts off, but her interactions with Aslam in terms of, trying to get his help and him not wanting to help, and then his struggle with basically trying to be, that man of the family, and also wanting to help her, and also knowing that this is a shit situation and that there's really no good way for him to end it, because he's gonna end up killed if he does things the wrong way.
Talk as little as possible. Your accent is not good. And here, one call. To your family. Only one. Thank you.
answering, and the machine's not picking up. Machines. I just wanted to let them know that I'm alive. At least that.
No, the window.
Where did you send that?
Al Jazeera. After that, everywhere.
I found that extremely interesting. I think you got a lot of depth into, what his situation is from not that much screen time. I'm not going to say that you really got a great understanding of the activist. I do think that you got a good understanding of, a fairly good understanding of him. I mean, he's an entitled rich kid who, doesn't get along with his father and feels the need to protest things. And then you do sort of get more understanding out of his relationship with his girlfriend, and that whole, he's trying to, make a name for himself, and he's not really being heard because all anyone wants to talk about is the fact of who his rich father is. Peter Facinelli, I think Peter's character, you understand that he's a family man, but that he has this strong sense of wanting to do what's right and what's just and get to the bottom of
does any of that, did that development, if that's what you want to call it, make you want to watch more of the show? Because it didn't for me. And clearly it didn't for you because you were angry when you had to watch 2 episodes of it.
I would watch another episode.
After watching 2.
After
watching the first episode, would you watch the second?
Yes.
Brian, would you?
No.
Okay.
So, well, no.
I'm not going to say that all of the acting was good because it wasn't.
Well, it wasn't
Peter
just the
Facinelli's
acting.
character, I just couldn't, I couldn't take it seriously. But I thought Anna Friel was amazing.
Some of the dialogue was pretty
You
bad.
got Treat Williams. Don't you love Treat Williams?
No.
I thought you did. Why did I thought you?
I don't know why.
Some
Who
of-
loves Treat Williams
Some of
then?
the dialogue was weak
There's a
and,
show
and,
title.
and contrived.
Who loves Treat Williams, indeed.
I thought you did.
Some of the editing and pacing of the show is probably what
There were
killed it.
some things in the beginning in terms of cinematography that bothered me, or in terms of camera work.
When they went to
Like
the
when
security
you
camera.
had the first the point of view camera shots,
Mm-hmm.
where you see it's
Oh,
the person
yes,
run.
yes.
I was just like,
That
no,
annoyed the hell out of me.
don't
No,
do
you know
that.
what? I didn't mind that. I
Especially
hated,
since they would cut from point of view to non-point of view.
I
Yeah.
hated the editing and the way it was put together. I think maybe now thinking about it, that was probably the downfall of the show, was that the pacing was off and it was just unnaturally put together to tell this one story in this one episode, where if they had maybe not killed the star witness for the Attorney General's case,
Yeah.
there's just too much.
There's-
Oh, you
a
guys
lot of-
saw that?
Yeah.
Okay,
There's a
'cause
lot of those
I
plot
forget where-
conveniences there.
And the
You
problem,
knew. Well,
I
okay.
didn't like
In terms
the
of what
lead
you
up to
said
that.
with it being predictable, you did know where things were going to go. You knew he was obviously going to be killed when he
Sure.
decided not to shut. Well, that's the thing though. It was sort of a mislead because when he was, when they first stick the note to his daughter, you think he's going to shut up.
You actually think the daughter is going to be kidnapped.
You think I thought it was well handled because it is a lot of misleads,
Yes.
which, does make for more interesting. But as soon as you know that he's going to testify, you know that he's going to be
Boy's
killed.
dead.
But at the same time, I didn't expect the person who was working with Peter to be, working the other angle
but the
as
issue
well.
is, I want to talk about that. I had this really big issue with this first episode of the show, in that they do the same babyface to heel turn again as a wrestling terminology, 3 times, because you have the supposedly good private military end up killing all of the soldiers, even though I know it's obvious, but they still sold it as a big shock, even though it wasn't. So one big heel turn.
Right.
Then you have the turn of the Times reporter, who turns out to not be a Times reporter. Another heel turn, because then
She
the
kills
protester
that guy.
Harrison can't find Bob.
right.
And
Which
then
I really love Bob's character.
he's just a low rent Steve Buscemi.
Yeah. But he was really good at it. And I don't know, I liked Bob. I liked the fact that he was this sort of neurotic person who seemed like he was just, all over the place and wasn't capable of doing anything. And that one spark of idea You know, start with something simple. Start with one thing. That's really what started that whole movement because, well, into the second episode, you know, you find out that she's alive. Well, we know that she's alive, but that there's tangible proof that she's alive besides the photo, which everyone is saying is a fake. And, you know, you sort of have to follow that. But
the third turn in this series of repetition is, as you said, Pete, the guy who's working with Pete at his job. We find out that he's also working for SOC and, you know, is conspiring against Pete.
Yes.
We get the same basic plot over and over again, and that's like the only way they can add intrigue into this show and stop it from being so boring is by giving you the same story of good guy becomes bad guy. And they're doing that so much in this first episode that I have no interest in watching anymore.
I would disagree with you that it's good guy becomes bad guy because it's not. It's good guy was always bad guy but didn't seem like bad guy.
Well, yes, but in terms of the story they're telling us, a guy who they tell us is good now is a guy who they're telling us is bad.
But the reason I think it has to be repetitive is because you have to see that there's a greater conspiracy to cover all of it.
Right, you can't.
You have to see that, you know, where there's good, there's also attempts to conceal the truth. So there's always, you know, you can't necessarily be one step ahead because there's always double agents, you know. I wanted to say that there are actually a lot. Now that I think about it, I didn't really think about it when I was watching it. Like when I was saying before about, you know, those little twists, those little misleads. There are even more in the second episode. You see more about the pilgrimage to Timbuktu, which is supposed to be an all-male pilgrimage, and Odell needs to pretend to be a man. So they sort of say that she's deaf because her accent is shit. Or... they say it's shit. I really can't judge.
You can judge.
I can't
judge those accents.
So there's a little boy and his father, and the basically the guy who keeps trying to talk to her. I don't know if you saw that in the pilgrimage. There's a guy who keeps who tries to talk to her, and Aslam is basically like, oh, you know, it's my cousin and he's deaf. And
that's in the second episode.
Yeah, she's saying it was.
And yeah, and his son is like really talkative and keeps trying to, you know, talk to him, and he basically has to like cuff him upside the head. And basically the army or whatever that Aslam was trying to.
Yeah.
No, not Osella. The
one they were trying to sell her to.
Exactly. They show up because they don't like the people who are pilgrimaging.
Yeah.
So they go through the whole thing trying to find her using the photo, and the little kid talks back to those guys, and his dad like hits him with a rifle like to shut him up because you know they'll just kill him or they'll kill his dad or whatever. And he's like basically crying in the night, and she like tries to give him medicine, and then he gives it to his dad, and his dad comes after.
I've totally lost where you were going with this.
You don't essentially.
Where's the mislead that you think he's going to rat her out and then he doesn't?
No, Aslam tries to protect her. He tries to kill the guy.
Yeah.
And she's like trying to get him to stop. Like, no, we can't kill him. And he's like, well, it has to be done. And she just breaks his neck because she doesn't want Aslam to carry that with him, that he had to kill the guy.
That's really weird. But
you didn't sort of expect it to happen.
I also thought just in this first episode.
Oh, and the whole Bob thing. Like, there's so much more with Bob.
Honestly, fuck Bob. No. This is taking too fucking long. Fuck
Bob.
Bob.
No, but Bob disappears, and then you think it's the reporter, and then, you know, they're trying to find Bob because they need the email, and then they find Bob, and you think maybe it wasn't the reporter.
Those constant misleads, I think they're a crutch that writers rely on way too much in terms of, you know, trying to bring interest into a show instead of just giving us a good, solid plot with interesting characters and meaningful conversations between characters. No, we have to bring in all these turns where you think one thing's going to happen, another one does. That really grinds on people and wears them down really quickly.
See, the thing for me is I'm not interested in Peter's story. I'm not interested in the, you know, protester story. I like Bob. That's pretty much the only part I care about in that story.
Right.
The story I care about is I do actually want to see the Odyssey home. I want to see Odell, get closer to home, get information, get, something out there. That's the only thing I'm really invested in terms of this.
Right.
Oh, and Aslam's forced to join that army thing.
Great.
She almost gets stoned.
Good for him. Well, I wish he had been.
You think she's about to?
Uh-huh. Oh, and
Which
then,
obviously they
and then
wouldn't.
all the stones turn to dust.
No, then that army
in.
shows up because you see,
They're just dirt
Aslam
clods.
abandons her when they find out she's a woman. Aslam abandons her,
Uh-huh.
and you think that he's just running because he's
No,
running.
of course you think one thing, but then another thing.
He goes to get the army
fucking
and tells
much.
them that he found her, and then they come and take
Right.
her, and it seems like they're gonna leave him so that the Timbuktu people will kill him.
Yeah.
But they take him, and they're like, "You're one of us now, and you have to join the army." And whatever.
Great. It's a stupid show.
I
honestly.
liked it.
It's so dumb, and there
I
are way
liked
too
it.
many characters introduced in the first episode. I just want to throw it in real quickly.
But that's the thing. It's like Crash, where you have.
But Crash was a movie. This is a show
understand
where
that.
you can introduce characters over time, and they don't.
It's a show where you can build on those characters and learn more about each individual, whereas in a movie, you have limited time and you can't get that depth.
I'm sorry.
So
this-
I will disagree with you.
Of course you will. The show, I
It's
don't
probably
think
going to
it's
get canceled. I'm pretty
It
sure
is.
it will. But I'm enjoying the ride, and that's what counts.
fine. All right, let's see how much you enjoyed this ride. Chris, what did you have this at?
I originally gave it a 3.5, but I'm going to give it a 3 because
Okay.
you guys are... Wait, did I?
Pointing out how bad it
I
is.
still had a 3.5. So I'll give it a 3.25.
Okay. Brian?
I thought it was an okay show. I gave it a 3. But you know what the problem is? That there are so many other or better shows. In fact, one that we reviewed this week that reminds me that there's just too much stuff
Yeah, but it's
on
like,
to-
it's apple and oranges,
No,
man.
no.
It's apple and oranges.
It really isn't.
I had this at a 1.75. I did not really like it much at all. In terms of actual ratings on this premiered, I believe, Easter night, April 5th.
Yep.
And premiered in the 10 o'clock hour. Not a lot of competition.
It's a great Easter show.
Actually premiered right after an episode of A.D. The Bible Continues, which
Oh,
we're also
God.
not going to be talking about because we don't
Nope.
want to get into that can of worms. Its only real competition was Battle Creek on CBS.
Oh my God. Must have done super well.
And even with that, it actually, in terms of overall viewership, was beaten by Battle Creek. This had a 1.1 rating with a 4 share and 5.37 million viewers, as where Battle Creek had a 0.7 rating with a 2 share and 5.58 million viewers. Not the best premiere, not the worst. I mean, it did lose a ton of viewers from AD The Bible Continues, because that had 9.6 million viewers overall. And in fact, the second week of the show, which aired on the 12th, the overall viewership went down to 4.05 million viewers. So it is not doing well. You might want to get this as much as you can quickly because it's probably not long for this world. I think they've only done 3 more episodes, or they've only recorded 3 more episodes so far. And I
Was
don't know
this
if
a
they're gonna be in
limited
order.
series originally?
I don't think so. I think it was a full show, a full drama.
It'll be a limited series.
No, it is incredibly
But I
limited.
still enjoyed it.
Well, brothers, we're here, and
Did I tell you I finished Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt?
Yes.
you did not, actually.
You told me.
Well, I didn't tell him.
No.
I was pointing at him. Sorry.
No.
No, I know. I saw.
Another show we're going to talk about this week is...
I liked it a lot. Did you finish it?
I've gotten up to like episode 9.
Oh, it's good.
Episode 9. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like I said, overall, I think on the series, probably like a 3.25, 3.5 is where I'm at.
A 3.5, 3.75.
You're more excited by it than I am.
Actually, no. I'd say closer to 3.75.
Okay.
Boys.
Oh, yeah.
The show.
Boys, Chris has to describe more intricate
show.
plots of American Odyssey.
If you had just watched it, I wouldn't have had to describe it. You know Chris isn't good at explaining things because she goes on long-winded rants.
Evidently, she's not good at reading emails either.
Or you're not good at writing them. When you write episodes, you
I
should
don't
have written an episode.
I don't know. Brian understood me really
I only
well.
watched.
Yeah, because Brian's like, hey, less work. Boom. Chris is like, oh, I want to be thorough. Boom.
Hey, let's work. What?
Less work.
Oh,
So-
I heard let's work.
No.
Like, that's not Brian
less
at all.
work. Boom. This is one less episode to watch.
Okay.
Got
Another
it?
show we're talking
Now
about
you
this
understand?
week. Yes,
That's Brian.
is a show we haven't spoken about in a couple of weeks. Of course, it's The Flash.
It's time for the flashback.
No, it's not time because I have to tell you what you did. What
Oh.
we watched last week.
Oh.
Last time on the Flash.
That's going to be really loud.
Yeah, I'll have to.
You can cut that out.
Last time on the Flash, you'll remember that Barry Allen had his run-in with Wentworth Miller and his gang of merry idiots, which ended in them making some sort of supervillain
I'll
accord.
stay out of your city. You not stop me from
Stop trying
villainy.
to bang my
I believe
sister.
those are the actual words in the script.
You not stop me from villainy.
It's a Gorilla Grodd's fucking words.
Title.
Yes, that was last episode. These two episodes, episode 17 and 18, some very interesting ones, if for nothing else than the villains that we discover in these two new shows.
I was so enthused. You can see it on his face.
This is going to take like 7 hours to talk of just because of one person. So it's time once again to check in on Barry Allen, Central City's Vermilion vigilante. It's time once again for what, Brian?
The flashback.
Yes, indeed, it's flashback time. And we're here going to talk about Flash episodes 17 and 18. Let's start with episodes 17. Tricksters is what it was called, quite appropriately. Brian, why don't you tell us about Tricksters?
Trickster is actually one of the more well-known or well-recognized Flash villains. Apparently he's been rotting in a jail cell for 20 years. Played by the wonderful Mark Hamill.
Yes. That's why this is going to take 7 hours.
Another tangent. Have you seen the new Star Wars trailer?
I have seen
Stop
a new Star
with
Wars
the
trailer.
tangents. Let's get to this.
Oh, let's talk
Really?
about the plot of a second episode of a show we really didn't need to watch.
Hey,
Brian's
it gives
getting
you
on
more
about it.
information on your being wrong about the first episode.
We're
Yes.
explaining
So there you
how
go.
good Mark Hamill is.
He's very good.
We already know he's good.
That's
he,
a well-known
Everybody knows
he
he's
is
good.
also reprising his role as the Trickster
Yes.
from the original Flash series in the 70s.
90.
90s, sorry. It's not 90s. I was doing the math 20 years ago, and I was like, wait, that's wrong.
Oh, he thinks we're still in the 90s.
I wish.
The Flash is from the 90s show was the father, as you
Yes.
mentioned. So it's a nice little...
Henry Allen, I
reunion,
believe.
yeah.
Also, he voiced the Trickster on the Justice League Unlimited series.
Did they use
Mark Hamill did.
Did they use images from the?
Yes.
Yeah.
That shot of him in his leotard, that was from the original Flash
That
series.
outfit, though.
It was good.
Did you see how young he looked, though?
Oh, his
He was
hair.
very young. So, the Trickster's son, spoiler alert, breaks him out of jail, and they decide to start running amok in Central City. Very cool visual elements with the little presents dropping down. The CGI was a little weak, but the general feel of doom and gloom was kind of good. They decide to poison everybody at this wonderful fundraiser for, was it
Mayor
Mayor.
Bellows.
Yeah,
because as Mark Hamill reminds us,
He doesn't just yell at his staff, he bellows! You see what I did there with the wordplay and the...
It was clever. It was well done. So they decide, well, let's give everybody this cyanide type poison that's in your drink. It'll take effect in an hour. And for the people that got here early, fuck you, because Barry, even though he was faster than the speed of sound,
somebody died.
he couldn't get there in time with this antidote.
Did someone die?
Yeah.
The one guy starts foaming at the mouth because he drank he got there an hour
He
early,
got there
so
an
he
hour
drank
early.
the champagne quickly.
So I was like, oh, sucks
Right.
to be that guy. That's why you should show up either right on time or just about 5 minutes late. Barry Allen had enough
Casually.
time.
Hey, is there champagne?
Yeah, you know, when there's cyanide in the champagne. you
Hey,
should-
Well,
where's the
the-
poison?
that's why you should show up
This
late.
is why potentially.
That's why Brian's never on time.
Right. Barry also eventually gets a bomb strapped to his wrist, which makes him have to run at 600 miles an hour. Some
Because,
quick pace.
you know, he also loves the movie Speed.
There's a lot of cultural references by
Yeah.
Mark Hamill in the show. You get a Breaking Bad reference. You get Speed.
That's it.
There's some other ones. Twizzlers.
He just likes them.
Cultural icon.
Overall, it was a good episode. I think the fact that they had someone like Mark Hamill on the show legitimizes this show in terms of what CW's plans are for it, in terms of budget, in terms of, whatever.
Right.
It is obviously an important show for them in that they're taking Wentworth Miller and this, weird crew of people together to do another spinoff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an important show for them. I thought Mark was good.
I thought Mark Hamill was fantastic.
I just thought the episode overall was it was a little flat at the end.
Here's the thing. The whole story with Andy Walker being the son of James Jesse, the original trickster, and then he taking on the mantle of the trickster after James Jesse starts sending him letters from prison, and then them getting back together in this father-son crime syndicate that happens. I didn't really like that. I thought the better way to go about it would be to have Mark Hamill's character use Andy Walker, not even have them be father-son,
right.
Because in the comic books, there are two tricksters, but they're not related. Andy Walker is just the second trickster. But I would have had Mark Hamill use Andy Walker to get out of prison and then sacrifice him to show how truly deranged and unfeeling he is. Kind of get that Jokerish vibe into him, because really in this episode, Mark Hamill is just doing a live-action Joker, which I think is great. I mean, it's amazing to watch.
He doesn't sound like a...
He sounds like the Joker.
No, he doesn't.
Okay, well, we're going to play the splice game where I splice Mark Hamill's voice as the Joker and then Mark Hamill's voice as the Trickster.
It was very close.
And the people at home can tell us.
Very
and then
close.
I'll even splice in Mark Hamill as the Hobgoblin from Spider-Man 94.
It's probably more like the Hobgoblin than...
I thought it was very Joker-like, but at times his character, especially when he's in that cell, kind of veered off into a Hannibal Lecter kind of motif. I thought he was best when he mixed the two of Hannibal Lecter and that somewhat lighter-hearted Joker.
Gentlemen, please be seated. I'm Detective Joe West. This is Barry Allen. We'd like to ask you a few questions.
I can smell them in your pocket.
Yesterday, hundreds of these parachute bombs were released throughout Central City.
Fun idea, but not an effective delivery system.
Dear friends, today is the day the clown cried. And he cries not for the passing of one man, but for the death of a dream. The dream that he would someday taste the ultimate victory over his hated enemy. For it was the Batman who made me the happy soul I am today.
Sorry, Charlie.
Spider-Man!
But you're a little late for Halloween.
Name's Hobgoblin. And you're right on time for your funeral.
I feel like some of his mannerisms, too, I was just like, this would be great if I didn't have to look at you right now.
I think he looks pretty good.
No, not because he's ugly, just because his mannerisms, I feel like he's used to being a voice actor, and then he does these weird things with his hands where I'm just like, that's a bit much.
I think that it works.
And at a weird time. He'll point up at the wrong time, like he's emphasizing the wrong word in that statement.
But that's because, as a character, the Trickster is so, deranged and such a lunatic. I think that it works with Mark Hamill's character, this very over-the-top presentation, very over-the-top delivery, as where it doesn't work with Wentworth Miller's character of Cold, because while
he doesn't do that.
No, but while they're both very over-the-top and very outlandish in their performances, Mark Hamill's character is that, as where Wentworth Miller's character is supposed to be this methodical, plotting, very smart person, but he's just giving us these very outlandish, very comic book lines. It works here because the Trickster is such a very comic book character, but Wentworth Miller's character is supposed to be very serious and very methodical.
I think he still is very serious. I think he deadpans everything. I think he says everything in a very monotone but still with inflection, but just very straightforward. He might say some things that are very comic book, but he doesn't show that emotion. It's not like with the trickster where you have like, you know, outbursts or, you know, he doesn't act that way. He is very, very, you know, one level with his emotion. But
I just think that I hate Wentworth Miller as Cole.
I know that you
it's
do.
just very bad.
I don't like it either. But I think
I don't like it. I don't like it either. But he's going to have a spinoff.
I think it is a very typically comic book representation.
And like I said, as where it lends itself in Mark Hamill's case, I think it just takes away from the character of Cole.
I'm just saying there were little things I didn't like.
I know,
and I do think that the father son thing had to mirror, you know, Barry with his own father because his father does get taken, and Barry has to get him back. And you know that it really was, I guess, to mirror it, but
and to pick up on Chris's point, it actually you do find out Barry discovers that Joe has been right this whole time when I almost said Orson Welles, Harrison Wells is trying to explain to Barry, just run through some fucking steel truck or something, and that bomb will come off, no worries.
And it did.
As he's describing the sensation of the feeling, and
he
Barry's,
just won't shut up about it.
Barry's like, whoa, shit, dude. Okay.
I think that, because another central...
Oh, and we saw his backstory.
Right. Another central part of this episode is finding out how Eobard Thawne and Harrison Wells come together.
Fucking hate that name.
Eobard. It's so hard to say. It's like you have to
Eobard
say it in
Thawne.
slow motion. Basically, we find out that Eobard Thawne, after trying to kill Barry as a child unsuccessfully, loses the ability to go forward in time, is stuck in the time period where he is, and then knowing that Harrison Wells builds a particle accelerator in the future, basically puts himself into the body of Harrison Wells so he can speed up that process.
Right, which is great. It's a wonderful
Except
way
it didn't work.
Well, no. And no, because he wants to get the Flash to become the Flash quicker, so that he can harness the Flash's power.
So this is all part of the plan. That's why he goes always to check with, you know, Gideon. And this is like, well, come on, am I doing the right thing or not?
And in doing so, he also kills Harrison Wells' fiancée, Tess.
Right.
Yes. And Harrison Wells.
What did you think of
last plot point in terms of moving? In addition to Barry realizing that Dr. Wells, doesn't Eddie also find out that Barry is...
At the very end of the episode, Eddie finds out that Barry's the Flash.
Yes, and the reason for that is because both Barry and Joe want to stop Iris from investigating the disappearance of her boss because they believe it's connected to Harrison Wells, which it is, and they don't want her to be in danger. I thought that discovery by Eddie was just squandered. I mean, it should have been the catalyst of an episode. No, but
fucking Eddie. Well,
anytime anyone finds out the identity of the Flash, it should be the catalyst for an episode in itself. It should be that important.
Okay.
That's why I said that this episode kind of fell flat. Was that they packed a lot in, where they should have probably given you Trickster and the Harrison Wells origin, or Trickster, maybe the Eddie discovery. That's, you know, it's
I feel like that would have been boring. If the whole episode had revolved around Eddie finding out that he's the Flash, I don't give a fuck about Eddie. And I don't give a fuck about Eddie finding out that he's the Flash. I mean, you know, a lot of people know that he's the Flash now.
Yes, they do. Just everyone besides Iris.
But the fact that, you know
everybody in fucking Central City practically knows.
But I don't think that would have made for an interesting episode. I see what you're saying about it being a lot of stuff in one episode, but at the same time, I do not think
But my point isn't that. My point is that anyone finding out should be important. But really, they don't really highlight the threat of Iris being in danger so much. They basically touch on it maybe once, but the main focus of this episode is Mark Hamill, the Trickster storyline, as where I would have had the main focus of the story where Eddie finds out that Barry's the Flash be Iris getting more and more in danger by getting deeper and deeper into the story about her boss, and then Barry and Joe finally having to pull that trigger and tell Eddie to stop Iris. That would have been the smarter way to do it, because that really makes the discovery by Eddie more important. As we're here, it was just thrown away in the last scene of the episode.
I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, I think they went a different route because this discovery is sort of a catalyst for
It's a
the
means
next
to an end.
episode. No. It was a catalyst for the next episode.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
It's the same thing.
It's a means to the end of Eddie and Iris's relationship because he doesn't feel like he can, he doesn't want to betray Barry because they're trying to protect Iris, and Iris is like, you can't have any secrets from me because I need to know everything.
Wonderful Iris impression.
She's awful.
She's really bad.
But yeah,
I'm like, bitch, you need to know everything? Like, really? Some things have nothing to do with you.
I didn't really care for the whole Eddie finding out storyline. But I did want to talk about what you guys thought about pre-Eobard Thawne Harrison Wells. And specifically Tom Cavanaugh's performance. Because I thought it was maybe the funniest thing he's ever done. Like,
being a normal, in love person.
Trying to play that nice guy who's got his whole life set just so they can all be taken away in the next scene made me laugh hysterically, because it's like that scene where Tom Cavanaugh's on the beach talking to Tess, like him being like, oh, I'm going to name it Tess because that's your name. And like her being like, oh, Tom, I love you. It's hilarious just watching Tom Cavanaugh suck at it. Hello was the height of it. That was the absolute drizzling shits where they're in the car right before she dies and she's like,
Sorry, I am so tired. I think I'm just gonna put on my pajamas, go straight to bed when we get home.
Really?
No. Definitely not wearing pajamas.
Hello.
hello. It's like, your wife deserves to die now.
Oh, no. I was okay with it, actually. I thought it was different enough that I bought it. I thought of it as him being, pre-Eobard Thawne.
I just
Dr.
thought he was
Wells.
bad. I just thought he was, Tom Cavanaugh was bad.
I thought he was a bit dopey.
Yeah.
But I thought that's who he was. Like, I mean, he was dopey because he's in love with Tess, and, that it wasn't a moment of like him being a doctor. It was a moment of him just hanging out on the beach with his fiance and being fully in that. And I mean, I think, I'm not going to say it's some of the best acting he's done, but I bought it as being a separate character from who he is in present day. Mm-hmm. So I think that's successful in what the goal was.
Right. I also wanted to just quickly throw in that the actor who plays Alex Walker, I don't know what his name is, terrible actor. Like,
who plays Alex Walker?
The younger trickster.
Oh yeah, when I rewatched it, I was just like, God. When he's like talking, I feel like you can see him looking at the thing.
It's very odd. It's overacting, but in the worst way, where it doesn't seem like he believes what he's saying at all.
I also feel like he kind of brought Mark Hamill's acting down.
Yeah.
Like in the scenes where they were together, it was just not as good.
Because it's too much of that same. It's that same character just in two generations, but where Mark Hamill's good at it, this guy's also doing it. It kind of weakens his performance.
Tricked ya. Look who's back. My tricks, my treat. But I'll give you something good to eat. Today's special, a city in ashes. The trickster proudly welcomes you all to the new disorder.
Did you guys think that it was ridiculous that to basically steal Harrison Wells' identity, he needed to plug it in? I was like, so if you didn't have the adapter, what would you do?
Oh no, I forgot my iPhone adapter at home.
No, I didn't have a problem with that.
I thought it was ridiculous.
It's like the least futuristic thing. It's like, God, I hope you have this poured on you somewhere.
I know, like
that might be a throw to Fringe, because that happened in Fringe too.
Nobody knows. Everybody's forgotten about Fringe. Yeah. Ryan. Come on, this is 2015. This is the Flash we're talking about. This is Eobard Thawne.
And I thought I guess the special effects weren't bad when like that whole face melting thing happens when he's taking Harrison's his face essentially, or not his face, his
body.
Yeah.
Right.
Hello.
He's taking his body on the side of the road.
That's right. Before the police show up. Yeah. What was your point?
I thought it was pretty visually interesting, but I don't know.
Yeah, just a couple of little notes before we close up here on this episode.
Any weird Flash things? Like any weird things where you're like, first of all, Barry had one injector and he injected everybody.
Yes, he gave a lot of people probably some sort of disease.
AIDS. Yeah.
Which,
AIDS.
The trickster he's like, that's not very hygienic.
I did like all those little like...
And everyone's like, ow! Because that must have hurt.
Yeah.
Because he's going that quickly, that would have really hurt. It's like...
it would have sucked to get, an injection or die seconds later.
And he's the fastest man alive. He can change a needle really quickly.
Please.
I really liked all like the little cultural references that we talked about with Mark Hamill's character. It's very Joker-like also, where there's always that breaking the fourth wall a little. I do think that since they established, I talked to you about this a while ago, a week or two, since they established that Eobard Thawne can transfer his body or his being into another person's body, he'll eventually transfer into Eddie's. And then Eddie Thawne
transferring
he'll transfer into Eddie, all right.
He's making that deposit.
Making a solid guess here, folks. He'll eventually transfer into Eddie, and then Eddie Thawne, the actual name of the Reverse Flash, will finally be completed. And it'll give Eddie Thawne's character something to do. Because even now that he knows Barry's the Flash, still not the best character in the world. Not good at all. You have any little stickly notes you want to throw in?
Besides that one about the injector... I thought it was weird that the trickster was walking around in socks.
Yeah.
And the socks were super dirty. There's just like one scene where he like lifts his foot and like the bottom of his sock is like black.
Not the best prison. Okay.
And they were like festive socks. They were like navy
He's
with like these confetti or something on it.
Yeah. Overall, pretty fun episode. What'd you have this at, Chris?
I had nothing written for it, so I'm not going to say that I did. I don't know. I think I would give this a 3.
A 3 out of 5.
I don't know. I feel like, or maybe a 3.25, because I feel like it was a good episode, but it's not my favorite episode so far. I wasn't as, gung-ho about Mark Hamill as you. I love him and everything, but just watching him play the trickster was just a little weird at times. So
I do hope they bring him back, though. I do, because I thought he was good in the role. And
yeah, but leave his son out of it.
Yes,
his son
absolutely.
Sucked.
And I do like the idea that there are these criminals that existed before the particle accelerator explosion. And it's not just him. It's not just Static Shock, where all the villains were created and then he can go stop all of these new villains. I like the idea that he's having these encounters with these older criminals who maybe are more experienced than him, and they can take advantage of that. I like that. Bring him back. Brian, what'd you have this at?
3.5.
As did I. In terms of actual ratings on this aired March 31st, a little while back. And in the 8 o'clock hour where it aired, The Flash had a 1.3 rating, a 4 share, and 3.67 million viewers. Just about average for a Flash episode. It did beat an episode of Hell's Kitchen on Fox. And in terms of 18 to 49 rating, tied with Fresh Off the Boat on ABC.
There you go. Pretty good.
There's just one thing I've been dying to ask. Why did you choose me?
Because I knew you had the strength to fulfill my legacy. Besides, it was in your blood.
What do you mean in my blood?
The real reason I tracked you down and groomed you to be the best you could possibly be, Axel. I am your father.
So yes, let's go now to episode 18 of The Flash, entitled All-Star Team Up. Because I remembered that. Chris, you want to tell us about All-Star Team Up?
Sure.
And it's a buzzworthy villain?
Well, sure.
You just got it?
Yeah,
Okay.
she's the queen bee.
She is. Move over Beyonce.
Okay. So, this episode brought one of our favorite geeky girls back to Central City.
And someone we all hate.
Felicity, along with her boyfriend Ray, who has a flying suit.
He's the Atom, Ray
Yes.
Palmer. Yeah.
Because his name is... Well, why did I think his name was Adam?
It's not.
Because I was like, oh, Adam.
It's not that simple. It's not that easy
I know,
with the
it's
name
Ray.
and the prediction.
Essentially, he's a billionaire, and, you know, she works for him, and he likes buying out restaurants to have
in his
dinner.
spare time. That's what it says on his eHarmony profile. I like buying out restaurants
and flying suits. Basically, he comes to Central City to get some help on his suit, which is he's been having some issues with. And he, of course, wants to check in with the people at Star Labs to get some help with that. At the same time, you have a bee-centric villain on the loose who controls robotic bees.
Brie Larvin. Ding, ding, ding. Fuck yeah.
I wrote robotic beekeeper, but I was like, does it sound like she's a robot and she keeps bees, or
a beekeeping robot by the name of Brie Larvin?
She's a robotic beekeeper.
The alter ego predicting names continues. Larvin, larva, bees.
Oh yeah, we got it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
She essentially is sending her robotic bees after scientists who worked at the lab that she used to work for, Mercury Labs. Basically, they were the reason that she was fired, because they told her boss that she was weaponizing the bees for military use as opposed to for agricultural use. I listen.
Very good. I couldn't have done that.
So
I was too busy writing bee puns down.
Yeah, Cristina, her boss.
That's right.
I remember things. Anyway.
You're the queen bee.
I am.
You're
no,
the queen C.
I'm... Okay. That looked like a K with like a loop. Because your finger's on top or something.
You're the queen K loop.
Okay. So Barry is trying to stop,
Queen
this
bee.
woman who be making mischief. I think
what
I
is
just
the
said
name
mischief.
that they give her? It's probably the worst.
No, it was
It's
oh my God.
Bug-Eyed Bandit.
Something like that.
It was Bug-Eyed Bandit. That's the actual name of the character. But in comic books, just because I like to give this background.
Queen Bee is what it should be.
It should. Bug-Eyed Bandit was actually a man.
Okay.
Bartham Larvin, I think his name was. And, yeah.
Well-
The female version is specific to the show.
She also likes honeycomb tops.
She does.
She
does.
And
And there's a lot of, like, hexagons in her, like, work area. It's a very, very hive-like. Hopefully she calls it the hive.
I hope so.
I wrote down
really.
I wrote down some of the things she says just because, like, I love it when you have really, really, like, punny and cheesy villains that, like, have one thing and that's all they do.
That's why you're such a fan of the Riddler.
It is why I'm such a fan of the Riddler.
And Clock King.
And Clock King, absolutely.
I misheard that completely.
And Clock King, yes. Gotta make sure that everything is water sealed. But there are just, like, some lines where she's like, I'm the queen in this hive. Yeah, the queen of this hive. The sting of betrayal, she says at one point. Should I buzz myself in?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can
That's a
buzz
good
yourself
one.
in anytime, honey.
Ah, good one, Al.
Yeah, sadly, Ray Palmer was not necessarily buzzworthy.
No, he was not.
Let's talk about this. This is obviously the third crossover. And probably the most unsuccessful.
Oh, the most useless.
I felt like, as where in earlier iterations, Felicity was really fun to see, and that very clumsy, introspective comedy that she brings was really entertaining. Here, there wasn't so much of that, and it was spread between her and Ray Palmer, who's played by Brandon Routh, who has that same kind of personality, but does the character far worse.
Your Adam's suit. Quite the technological achievement, Mr. Palmer. I'm impressed.
He is never impressed.
Well, thank you, but I can't quite seem to keep it up.
He means the suit.
Yeah, I'm in the suit.
Yeah, I can attest that everything else works just fine. There's nothing we need to fix, and that, Barry.
No, the sex is great.
God, there's 2 of them.
I know from Felicity that you have been very helpful with Barry in the Flash suit, and I was hoping to get another set of eyes on my problem.
I feel like the problem with it was that she sort of spent the whole episode reassuring him or like backing him up, where it was like he does something weird and she's like, oh no, sweetie, it's fine.
Don't worry, he be packing though.
Mm-hmm. Does he have a big penis?
Oh, that's what he said in the show.
Oh, that's right. Oh, God, that's the thing.
He couldn't get it up, remember?
God. He was talking about his suit, and he came to Central City because
he came,
quote,
all right.
couldn't get it. Hey, I said,
Brian's gonna joke over there.
I said B puns. I didn't say sex puns.
Sorry.
Come on.
That's next week's villain, like Andrew Prophylactic. What's a good name for him?
Cummings.
Andrew Cummings.
Yes.
Ding, ding, ding.
Dick Cummings.
Prophylactic would be his super villain
you're
name.
awful.
Okay. The thing with Ray Palmer is he relies a lot on cheesy jokes and like cliched lines. There's the one where you said where it's like, oh, I couldn't get it up, but I don't mean penis because my penis works just fine. It's like,
right, honey?
It's like that joke went out of style in 1993.
I think he's like such a watered down version of Felicity.
Yes.
It kind of makes me sad because she's so good. And then she did spend so much of it like explaining his lines or, you know.
Well, you could see how they are setting it up to potentially have a Barry and Felicity, you know, relationship because she did mention that
it's like Barry with the body of Oliver.
Yeah.
The brain of Barry with the body of Oliver.
So you can tell she's still interested in Barry.
And I think the amazing thing is that this potential spinoff we've been hearing so much about is going to include Ray Palmer and Brandon Routh.
No, he's a big part of this.
It's like all the bad actors are just going to assemble with Victor Garber in one show because Victor Garber's a very good actor. But it's like Wentworth Miller, Robbie Amell, Brandon Routh, who was the worst Superman ever. I thought it was Routh, R-O-U-T-H.
I always thought his name was Brandon Routh.
I know, I'm saying Routh.
No, it's Routh. It rhymes with South. That's how he always said that.
Okay.
Yeah.
More like it's rhymes with Schmerable because he's terrible.
Mouth, because that's where the puke comes out of.
So another part of this episode
because it actually rhymes with mouth. You see how that worked?
In addition to you have this bubbly couple, you have the complete deterioration of Iris and Eddie's relationship.
That's right.
Oh, and
Iris is a super bitch in this fucking episode.
She really...
I mean, because she's a bitch in most of the season. This episode, holy shit. She was a fucking bitch.
I wouldn't say she's a bitch, but like
she was a bitch.
No, like she's not normally a bitch, but like I said before.
Hello, she loves her pumpkin spice latte. It's a basic bitch.
You love your pumpkin spice latte.
God.
I do not.
Liar.
Anyway.
I don't pay for it when I get it either. Right, Brian?
Nope.
Yes, Chris.
I think that she just is very demanding and has absolutely no sense of like compromise. And as with a lot of times with Iris, it's sort of about her and how things relate to her. And if you're keeping a secret from her, that's not okay because Iris has to know everything. Everything has to sort of revolve around Iris. And I think that's ridiculous, especially when Barry explains to her that, you know, he's a police officer. There are some things that he's going to see or deal with that he doesn't necessarily want to touch her. And she sort of is just like, well, if you love me, you can't keep secrets from me, even if it has nothing to do with me.
Please, can't we just have a nice evening?
Okay, so it's my fault that we're not having a nice evening? I am your girlfriend, who you live with. I shouldn't have to beg you to talk to me.
If I could talk to you about this, I would, believe me, but I can't.
You know what? I am not hungry anymore.
Iris.
You know what? When you are ready to act like we are two people who love each other, call me. I'll be at my dad's.
That's ridiculous. You suck, Iris, and I hope you're alone for a long time. I don't wish ill upon you.
They're trying to set up probably the love triangle between Iris and Felicity at the end of the season. Who knows what?
I think another part we should touch on in this episode was the whole
Cisco?
growth, the whole relationship between Cisco, Caitlin and Barry, because Barry in this episode is very unsure about whether he should trust Cisco and Caitlin because he thinks that they might be working with Dr. Wells.
Which is really the reason, or it's one of the reasons Felicity's there, because she's basically just a sounding board for Barry to, figure out what to do about Cisco and Caitlin.
Right. And eventually, at the very end of the episode, actually, Barry does inform Cisco and Caitlin that he thinks Dr. Wells is the Reverse Flash. And Cisco reveals that he's been having these dreams, or daydreams, the whole episode, where he somehow sees events that he should never have seen because Barry went back in time.
Yeah. I'm like, is Cisco part medium? What's up?
Is
he Teresa from Long Island?
I think what's great about this is that the time travel is, even though obviously we're talking about time travel, Barry has now created two separate lines in terms of time because he broke it, he changed it. So now Cisco dies in one. But what happens is it kind of diverges, but it comes back and crosses over, and it's really one linear timeline. So
because Cisco's still alive.
No, he's still alive, but he's remembering or coming to understand.
But he shouldn't be able to.
But that's what I mean. It's all just one linear timeline.
Yeah, but how is that even possible? That's the problem.
That's
how is it even possible that he
they're
remembers
messing with
things?
their own interpretation of time.
But no, it's to fix.
We need Victor Garber.
It's to fix the issues.
Go get
Explain this to us.
Go get a pizza. Apparently, it works on him.
It is to fix the issues they have with Reverse Flash going back in time. We don't know if this is the first or second time he's gone back in time, right? He could have been going back and going further back to try and figure out when to cause this whole whatever he wants to accomplish to happen. So it's a way for them to kind of continue the story, but also say that maybe this whole thing is totally fucked up because there might be like 70 different timelines. We don't know how often.
I don't know. I didn't really care for it because they
I just
really
didn't understand
quite strongly
how
outlined
it's even
that
possible.
You can change the events of the future by what you do in the past, and that's fine. But Barry went into the past; he changed events, so theoretically, the Cisco never died, which he obviously didn't. So why he remembers it is still a mystery to me. But
because it's the two timelines.
I'm not a physicist. I don't want to think about this. I didn't ruin a particle accelerator. I'm not. I have human emotion. I'm not Harrison Wells.
No, nobody can be as wooden and as devoid of emotion as that guy.
I thought one of the things that really annoyed me about the show was there's very little actual focus on the villain, on Brie Larvin, which, like the other crossover episodes, with Roy G. Bigelow, that happened there. But as where in that episode, all of the characters from Arrow were really fun and interesting, and their interactions with the characters from The Flash were noteworthy and fun to watch. Here, the time that's made for these crossover characters is really poorly used, and you don't really get any benefit out of it. And at the same time, you also don't strongly build up this villain, who I think is actually really interesting. And her whole bee focus is actually fun to watch, even though the CGI bees looked terrible.
I didn't think they looked terrible.
When they were coming out of the guy's mouth?
Yeah, it was overzealous. I thought it was overzealous. The scene where Adam is flying out to,
flying the bees out. Yeah.
Draw the bees with him. That was overzealous. The bees did not look good there. As they got closer and they came into frame a little more, they were a little bit bigger. They looked more realistic, but they're trying to do a lot.
And even the scene where Brie is projected on the bees outside of the woman's office. I knew what they were going for. It didn't look human at all.
It was okay. It wasn't that great. But
my larger point here is that they did really a terrible job of time management, because the time that they gave Felicity and Ray Palmer used terribly and didn't use it to build up a strong villain.
But the other reason that this villain was necessary was they want to bring in another kind of give Barry a little more insight into Harrison Wells. Yeah. So you get Dr. whatever.
Cristina something.
So her boss, or the one that fighters, tells him, you know what? He really changed when, boom.
Yeah.
When obviously he was no longer Dr. Wells. He was whatever. So, it's interesting that they had that. Buzz, did you know that she was on the original Flash?
Oh, the doctor?
Yeah.
I didn't. Oh, did she play?
I'm telling you right now, she played Cristina McGee.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought she might have played Mark Hamill's like sidekick.
Which is who she plays on this.
That's very interesting also.
She plays the same
He might be wrong, and he might be looking at 2014 Flash.
No, this is Cristina McGee.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. I didn't mean that to sound sarcastic, but I did. Let's talk about bee puns,
did?
all right?
You did mean it just...
Because...
Oh, her name is Tina McGee.
But her name's Cristina, because when he comes into the office, he says Cristina.
But, all right, I guess her name on IMDb is Tina.
As we all know, Brie
He calls
Larvin...
her Tina.
Yes. Brie Larvin, a big fan of bees. As soon as we discovered this, I started writing down a couple of questions for you guys. Hey, Chris. What's Brie Larvin's favorite sport?
B-ball.
Rugby. Hey, Brian. What's her favorite condiment? Wasabi. Hey, Chris. Who's her favorite Harry Potter character?
Bumbledore.
That's pretty bad. It's Ginny Weasley. She's just a big fan of Ginny.
Come on. Come on.
Could have also said Beatrix Lestrange.
No. Bumbledore.
It's terrible. It's not even a name.
It's like Bumblebee. Come on.
Or Ron Beasley.
That's also
or
not
Ginny
a name.
Beasley.
Well, whatever. I like my joke better.
You lost. First of all, B-ball.
B-ball is wrong. It's rugby.
No, it's B-ball.
Whatever.
Because it's B-ball.
B puns. This show got a big up for me in terms of all the puns and all the cheesiness used for the B. But terrible use of guest stars. I thought they really added very little. And again, it took away from possibly building a stronger villain. Chris, what did you have this at in terms of ratings?
3.
3 out of 5. Brian?
I gave this a 3. I really was disappointed when you have a crossover event like this and you tout it as a crossover event. You really need to capitalize, as Al mentioned, like 70 times, because it's true. You need to make the most of having these people on. And this was just a plot movement episode. There were just certain things they need to set up for. I think there's like 5 episodes left, I hope. Only 5 episodes left.
Mm-hmm. I actually thought about this today. We are really lucky we picked The Flash, because we could have picked...
that show was awful.
Jane the Virgin.
There was no way that was
No, it wasn't
happening.
Jane the Virgin. It was the...
the Katherine Heigl one.
Yes,
yeah,
the
that was
Heigl
not
one.
happening.
That was a POS.
You see?
No.
This has actually been relatively fun.
That was a POS DOA.
We got to meet Girder, Roy G. Bigelow.
Please stop talking.
We got to make fun of Tom Cavanaugh a lot. It's been a fun time.
Oh, yeah. Listen, I would have had no other way.
I had this at a 2.75. In terms of actual ratings on this aired April 14th. And in the 8 o'clock hour, it had a 1.4 rating with a 5 share, and again, 3.67 million viewers, same as the episode before. This actually just beat out the episode of Hell's Kitchen again, but was just beat by Fresh Off the Boat. Yeah, not bad, not the worst. The Flash has really gotten stuck into that 3.5 million viewers a week, more or less.
Which is really good for CW.
It's not bad at all, no.
Hello, Dr. McGee. You gonna open the window or should I buzz myself in?
It's time now to talk about a brand new series. A very well-reviewed series. A lot of people were talking a lot about it, like it a lot. I enjoyed it also. We're talking about Daredevil on Netflix. It's a part of Marvel's cinematic universe, so it does occur after the events of the Avengers. So if you haven't seen that, you might be confused on some
I haven't.
stuff. You probably were.
Wait. Nope, I haven't. Yeah, I was like, what event that affected Hell's Kitchen?
What big event?
What are you talking about?
But basically in the show, Matt Murdock, the man behind the mask of Daredevil, really starts out his career not only as a vigilante, but also as an attorney with his friend Foggy Nelson. And
Foggy is a stupid name.
He has a real name, but Foggy is his nickname.
Stupid name.
That's all right. It's his nickname.
Stupid.
In this first episode, they start defending a woman by the name of Karen Page, who's a secretary at a construction company, and she discovers extortion? Was it extortion?
It was a spreadsheet.
It was money
laundering money.
Yeah, the company's been laundering money, and
which I don't think it's laundering money.
I don't know what it is.
The spreadsheet is not. It's not actually showing what it's supposed to be showing.
They're
It's something
moving
completely
money.
different.
Or
moving
it's embezzlement, I think.
I think they've got their hands in something basically in the dirty dealings that are going on in Hell's
Right.
Kitchen, and
She discovers this, and the company then tries to kill her. First, by really discrediting her by placing her at the scene of a murder, like drugging her and then killing her coworker and making it look like she killed her coworker, and then later by trying to kill her both when she's in prison and when she tries to return home to find
the flash
that
drive.
copy of the file. Of course, Matt Murdock not only kicks a lot of ass in the show as
way
Daredevil,
too much ass.
way too much ass, but he also kicks some legal ass by getting her out of prison. And by the end of the episode, she really becomes their secretary.
Yes.
Yeah.
At their law firm. What'd you guys think of the show?
I absolutely loved this show.
Okay.
To the point where it has ruined other superhero television shows for me.
The Flash.
And the simple reason is this. In this show, I would imagine that as a writer on other shows, the attraction to an internet streaming service that allows you, even HBO where you can do whatever you want, the amount of depth that they can create into these characters because they can go there is just, it's just gold because it makes Daredevil fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Daredevil. There is no Thor. There's no, Iron Man appearance. There's no crossover.
Right.
The first episode you're in, you're just like, holy shit, I would have traded 18 episodes of Flash for that one episode of Daredevil.
And I think something that's so great about the show is it takes the character of Matt Murdock, the character of Daredevil, this whole universe so seriously.
Yeah.
There's no joking. There's no throwaway penis joke like he just got on the Flash. This is serious. These are real events. This is a real person, and this is really happening in his life. And that is why the show is so good. It's because it's not just a story being told. It's told as if it's the depiction of a real man's life. And from that comes real emotion.
You feel the emotion.
Yes.
You feel the struggle. You feel the,
That scene in...
Let's just say, I'm normally like the last to watch a show, specifically on Netflix. I have not seen season 2 of House of Cards yet.
Mhm.
I have not seen any of Orange is the New Black. Only reason I watched Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt was because it was 20 minutes and I just started watching it, just go through. I'm already 6 episodes deep into this. I'm on the 7th one.
It's really very good. And there's a lot of good performances in here. Notably, Charlie Cox plays Matt Murdock.
He's fantastic. He's very good in if you haven't seen Boardwalk Empire, he's very good on that.
Karen Page is played by the woman from, is it Walking Dead she's from?
No, True Blood.
True Blood, thank you. What's her name? Something Wall.
Deborah Ann Wall.
There it is. I think she probably has the best performances in this first episode.
You think she has the best performances?
Absolutely. I think the scene where she's talking with Matt about not wanting to put more people's life in risk because somebody's already died because of her discovering this information and she doesn't want to stay with them or she doesn't want them to represent her because they might die. I thought she was very good there. And even the scene where they're talking in in his apartment was very good on her part.
So, how did Daniel Fisher figure into this?
Danny worked in the legal department. And I didn't know him very well. But he was nice, so I asked him to meet me after work. I don't know how they knew. They must have people watching me. They must have people everywhere. All I did was ask him for a drink. And I start to tell him about what I found. And things got blurry, like I was drugged. And the next thing I know, I wake up back in my apartment, covered in blood. They killed him. Because of me. And he had a family. A little boy. I need to get out. I'm sorry.
We can't advise that, Miss
No,
Page.
you don't understand. Either you're with them or you're not. And if you're with them, then I'm dead already. And if you are not, then I cannot have anybody else die because of me.
We can protect ourselves, Miss Page.
No, you can't. Not from them.
Miss Page,
No.
we can't let you go.
Please, just...
she's a great actress.
Mm-hmm.
She's great on True Blood. But I still think that the actor who played Daredevil was better.
Charlie Cox.
Yeah, he's better, I think, overall.
I mean, that whole scene in the confessional,
it's
when he's talking about his
great.
father, I mean, it's just him sitting there talking about his father, but you really get sucked in, and, you know, the emotions are just so well portrayed.
And to be fair, I don't think that there's some stuff in the show that's very graphic, like the scene where you see Karen's co-worker dead on the floor next to her. I thought was pretty graphic. And also, some of that fight between Daredevil and the person trying to kill Karen was a little graphic. Not to mention some hangings that you see.
Well, see, the thing is, you're talking about graphic, where literally right after I watched this, I watched the newest episode of Chicago Fire, and there's an explosion, and literally there was basically like a terrorist attack at a hospital. The guy who was holding the grenade, literally his like cut up body, the chunks of it are just all over the place, and like they keep panning back to his body. Like the doctor will say something to one of the patients and then look over and be like, yeah, can you just throw like a sheet over him or something?
Hey,
and
Bill,
like
get more chunks.
they kept panning back to it, and you're just like, oh. And then some old guy had like someone's ulna, or it's ulna, right? Or ulma, it's the bone.
I have no idea. I'm not certain.
Like the guy who had the grenade, his ulna shot out and shot into the other guy. I mean, when you're talking about graphic, that's the kind of thing where I'm like, okay, that's graphic.
Man, an explosion at a hospital. Where was Batman when you need him? He was over in Chicago PD.
Yeah, he was not on this episode.
No?
There were Chicago PD people, but it was not him.
Like I said, some of the scenes are graphic, but the majority of this show could have aired on a network. It wasn't really... There's not a lot of nudity. There's not a lot of, anything that would deter a network from airing it. But the thing is, something about being on Netflix makes these showrunners, makes these writers work harder. I don't know what it is.
Just a slight spoiler alert.
Yes.
It'd be the only episode they could show on TV.
It might need some adjustments, but I think the storytelling here could transcend anything. It could be on network television. It could be on... HBO, it could be on Netflix, it could be anywhere. It's just good storytelling.
Listen, the reason it wins is because it makes you care about the characters.
Absolutely.
All of them. I mean, even Foggy, who is played by, do you remember Mighty Ducks?
No.
Oh my God. Really?
Yeah.
It was the big guy, right?
Yep.
Oh God.
He was in that bad show on CBS Intelligence. He played the bad guy for 2 episodes.
Oh.
I was happy to see him have work.
Oh, he looked different.
Yeah, he did.
He had short hair.
Yes. But now I'm very happy he got this,
Mm-hmm.
And he's good. He actually grows more into his character. You get to like his character more in the second and subsequent episodes. But I thought they did just an okay job of introducing him. But I think the lesson learned is that you don't need to show every character or get to know everyone's backstory. You need to focus on the main characters or the focus of the show, and then all the other characters that are equally important. Foggy's just as important. Karen's very important. You can get little bits from here and there, just from their actions, just from know.
But the thing is, even in those little bits, after the first episode, you pretty much totally understand their general points of view and how they would react to a situation. It's just good writing that does that. As where even a similar show, in terms of being a Netflix show, something like Marco Polo, while there were very good visuals like there are here, it was just so slow paced. None of the characters were really built. You didn't get any understanding of most of the characters, including Marco Polo, and they put so many characters in the first episode that you were at a hindrance in trying to remember.
They also tried very hard to push sex.
And
in Marco Polo,
yeah, and it was just not good. Let's just face it.
Sex was not good.
And really, the first episode was stupidly conceived in that they cut through the whole travel to China in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
The traveling, the editing was bad.
Yeah. I think another really fun character in this series specifically is James Wesley, who's played by Toby Leonard Moore, basically the right hand of Wilson Fisk.
Yeah.
Such great scenes. The scene where he's talking to the security guard about owing Wilson money.
Yes.
And showing them his daughter on
why don't
on
you
a surface.
wave hello? Yeah.
was just fantastic and really did a good job of building just the heat on the heels, to use another wrestling terminology.
Stop with the wrestling terminology.
Making these villains seem villainous, seem dangerous, seem important. Even though you haven't even seen Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, yet.
And that's the beauty of it.
You know who plays him, by the way, Chris?
No.
It's the big white guy from Law and Order: Criminal Intent.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah.
You're going to have to show me a picture.
Brian can do that.
Criminal Intent?
Criminal Intent.
Yeah, I can't see it from here.
Hold on, sorry.
That's what I know him from. I don't think he's really been in anything else. But just all in all, a very entertaining show. Well written.
He doesn't seem very intimidating.
Does a great job of adapting.
Wait till you see him. He's good.
What episode does he show up in? First?
Second, I think.
Second?
Stop with the spoilers. I don't know. You're ruining things.
Are you going to watch more of it?
Yeah, maybe.
You
don't know.
Maybe.
You don't know what I'm watching.
This show does a fantastic job of just adapting a superhero concept with full drama, not making light of it, not turning it into a somewhat jokey idea, and just giving you just good character growth and good character development and good writing. It's a very, very good show.
Third
to
episode.
be sure. Anything you want to touch on here, Chris?
I mean, I thought the acting was wonderful. I thought the casting was good. I like the fact that it looks like it's actually shot in New York. I think visually it was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I think you definitely felt the emotions from the characters. The one thing I did not like was in the fight scenes.
I had the same note.
There were some times where it like seemed like they were going hyper speed, where it was just unnatural, like he had, like as if he had actual superpowers.
Yes, I would agree with you totally on that.
And then on top of that, you get that sort of action movie slash like kung fu movie sound effects, where it's like you get this weird swooshing from cutting the air, and I just don't like it personally because I feel like it seems a little too much, like a little too fake.
Okay.
I think that slower paced fighting would have really drawn in some of that more realism, so, the actual effect of taking a punch from Daredevil.
Keep in mind, though, that he does have enhanced
Yes,
capabilities.
he does, but he wouldn't be moving abnormally quickly.
He has enhanced capabilities. His father was a boxer, so he has the genetic build, and you don't know what the radiation or the radioactive
Yes,
material
but I know, but that's writing.
I'm
just saying.
I'm telling you, the design of the character, it doesn't fall far from that.
But Brian, my point is, in terms of the decision made by the production, I would think that slower paced fighting would really add that volatility and that painfulness, as opposed to this very quick paced, very almost kung fu movie style where he's jumping through the air, he's dropping a knee, he's flying, he's spinning. It's somewhat off putting because the rest of the show is so
like crouching
dark
tiger, hidden dragon moves up
the. I absolutely love it. It falls more to the character of Daredevil as opposed to a bruiser or someone like that may go out and just fight. He's more known for his fighting capability. Because he has to use his surroundings as opposed to be able to meet someone and hit him in the face. He has to use that.
It's all about that parkour.
Essentially, he is, because he can see by hearing. It's like a sonar kind of thing.
Very good.
It's absolutely wonderful.
Let's go to ratings on this. Brian, you take it first.
4 3/4.
4 3/4. Very
you're overinflating it a bit.
No, I'm telling you, this was.
But at the same
show.
time, I think you got into Chris territory where you watched so many episodes.
All right, so then
that
you're
inflating
right.
it. I mean, it was fantastic, but at the same time,
my initial thought was I need to watch one more right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say that it's actually a 4.5.
Okay. Chris, you had this at?
No, because look,
3.75.
I
think it was really good. I think the acting was wonderful. I think it felt cinematic. It felt like they put, a lot of money behind it. Like they put a lot of talent behind it. I was definitely impressed. I'm not usually that big on superhero stuff, and I really enjoyed it. And I actually never saw the original Daredevil.
Oh, thank God.
What
a piece of shit fucking movie that was.
So
where him and Jessica Biel are just like fighting in a children's park.
It's not Jessica Biel.
Jennifer Gardner, sorry, yes. I have Jessica Biel on the mind because I've been watching episodes of Seventh Heaven.
Nonstop.
That's what my life is, folks.
So yeah, when you say Hell's Kitchen, I'm sort of like,
Who needs a girlfriend?
you mean by the theater district where there's like,
so
a gay community?
3.75 you had this at.
3.75.
I had this at a 4. It's also interesting to note that this is the first in a series of Netflix Marvel-based series.
I was nervous when they announced they were going to team up for it.
I thought Daredevil would be pretty good, but I'm still weary on some of the ones that are to come.
Fuck the other ones. I'm more
What are
excited
the other
about
ones?
The next one is Marvel's AKA Jessica Jones. And Jessica Jones, who will be played by Kristen Ritter in the series, is basically a retired superhero who opens up a detective agency.
Is that because they scrapped her other show, that astronaut one?
No, well, I mean, she got this after that
Don't
was
you
scrapped.
remember?
Yeah, at NBC.
Yeah.
But this is Netflix.
Yeah, but
I understand
She
that.
got this because that was canceled.
But she had one series, she couldn't do another.
No. After that, you'll get Marvel's Luke Cage and then Marvel's Iron Fist, which would be interesting. That's where you would see this kung fu style used well.
I'm telling you, it fits.
And this will all culminate in a
I just don't like it.
Defenders
I just
miniseries.
don't like those sound effects. I feel like it cheapens it.
It's understandable.
These are things that I
all
noticed.
in all,
I just like. Listen, when he hits him in the ribs, I like hearing the.
Thank you for the sound.
Yeah, but it's not that. That's not my issue. My issue is
I know
the air
wounds-
cutting
because he's fucking,
and the swooshing.
He's throwing like 40 punches in like in less than a minute.
Yes,
And that's
almost
another
unbelievably
problem.
so.
It's too fast, and I just
let's talk about the fact that he's fucking blind and he's beating the shit out of everybody.
Let's talk about the fact that he's
He
a daredevil.
He has wonderful capabilities.
Yes,
What do you want
but
to say?
I think the issue is more so in the production than in the
I know
character.
It was taken a little bit over the top.
Yes. All in all, very good show.
My only disappointment: it's only 13 episodes.
That's true, but they might get a second season out of it.
Yeah,
Because
but-
all of these Marvel series, they've gotten one season orders, 13 episodes, and the Defenders miniseries like crossover that'll also be on there will be 4 to 8 episodes.
I just mean by the time you get another season.
Yeah, and the thing is, Netflix has so many original series now.
It's amazing.
Ridiculous. Like
So good.
God only knows when you'll see another season of something because they just start so many new ones.
They said they actually had more viewers than CBS. New viewers.
good for them.
It's interesting, but like
It's crazy.
it's a lot
I
like
mean,
Amazon where they only release positive numbers. Like Amazon will never tell you how many Kindles they'll sell. They'll only say that, oh, we've sold the most Kindles ever, you know. They don't
It's
really,
more than ever before,
Yeah.
rather than
They choose not to give hard numbers and instead highlight good achievements, which is okay.
And actually, Daredevil is now the second most pirated show.
Not surprising.
You know, so it's interesting.
Yes.
What's the first?
Game of Thrones,
Yeah, it would have to be.
which is back with a fucking vengeance. 8 million.
I haven't seen it. Shut up.
8 million people tuned in to see it live via HBO and streaming because
HBO Now. Yeah.
And then of course it's the most pirated show.
Yep. Speaking of things that are often pirated, the great ideas. Ships.
Ships.
Oh, ships. Yes. Ships. And like a ship sails softly to the sea, some things are meant to be. Also meant to be.
That's not the lyric.
I know. It's not at all. You can tell we've been going long here because I'm just losing my freaking mind.
Your voice? Are you making fun of me?
No, it's you. ChrisConkers.com is meant to be awesome, and it is.
It's a glowing review.
The awesome is intentional.
Alex says meant to be awesome, and it is. We have the
achieved what they were going for.
We have the editor-in-chief of Chris Conkers here, Cristina. Tell us about what's going on over at your beauty and book and blog in general. It's just
there's a resurgence of blog after a unintended hiatus due to my birthday and then vacation. Well, my birthday and then the week in preparation for my trip, which was a lot busier than I expected it to be, and then the trip, which I expected to blog on, but I really didn't. And so I have a huge backlog of posts that are now going up, and I also have some book reviews coming out, but you will see some March stuff Like my March favorites went up recently. My March TV favorites are going to be combined with my April TV favorites. So look for that at the end of the month.
Bi-monthly TV favorites.
No, it won't be bi-monthly from here on in.
It's just a convenience
But
thing.
it's, you know.
And I see you put up a recent review of Sinful Rewards 10.
Yes, which I think I've done since like Sinful Rewards 6 or Sinful Rewards 5 or something.
Cynthia Sachs is getting her money out of you.
It's a serial, so every month there's a new installment, and I really, really love it. It's addictive, and it's great, and it's definitely worth checking out. But, I mean, if you want to wait, I don't know if they're going to do, you know, if they'll combine all 12, because it's a 12-part
Into
series.
like one larger hardcover.
Well, not a hardcover, but you might be able to buy one gigantic ebook, you know, that just combines all of the installments. I did read like the first 5 or 6 back to back, and it is great reading them that way. It's like watching a TV series, all the episodes back to back. So
right on Netflix.
I would recommend doing that. But if you do want to check it out, there is a giveaway on the blog as well. It's a tour-wide giveaway, and you can win the first 6 books in the series.
That is not a bad thing.
I mean, it's great.
Check it out, folks. ChrisConkers.com.
And they're only 99 cents each, so...
Also very good.
Really, I mean...
But, you know what's even cheaper than that? ChrisConkers.com, absolutely free.
It is.
All the best advice about beauty, romance novels, other things, television. It's all there. It's all free. Check it out. ChrisConkers.com. No H in any of that.
Nope.
Also here, the fabulous photo bug over at b911b.com.
It's a good thing you're not Cisco.
That's true. Oh, I'm sorry. The bug-eyed bandit over at b911b.com. Brian Cassis. I see recently you put up a photo from the Roosevelt Island tram.
Roosevelt Island, looking at the tram.
I've never taken that tram before.
Terrible New Yorker.
I know. I've never been to
Or
Statue of
most
Liberty.
New Yorkers. I'm pretty
it's
sure...
only a subway right now. It used to be at the by separate token.
I'm pretty sure most New
swipe.
Yorkers haven't taken the Roosevelt Island tram.
It's fun. It really is.
I think the only tram I ever took was at the Bronx Zoo.
Yeah.
Oh, the Bronx Zoo?
Yeah, it's fun.
This one is more like a ski lift one because you could fit like 60 people in it. So,
and I also understand that if you take the tram, the Green Goblin will come by and cut the tethers and make Spider-Man choose between you or not Gwen Stacy, but Mary Jane Watson.
But he'll save you both.
That's true. So you'll get to see a show. And unlike that Spider-Man musical, people won't die.
That's a morbid turn.
I don't think anybody died in the musical.
No,
yeah,
but
the musical.
Did somebody die or were they just injured?
I think it was before they even opened.
No, but it got really, they got badly injured.
Yeah, people... They make fun of it in Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, where Titus tries out for it's a Spider-Man musical.
Spider-Man.
People
Stop
get
ruining
injured
things.
Watch it.
I haven't gotten to it yet. Calm down.
Anyway, you can check out Brian's wonderful photo blog over at b911b.com. B911b photo on Instagram. B911b22 on the Twitter. Chris is also on the Instagram and Twitter. Corral on both.
And what is Al's project?
Al's project is finding a fucking job, and it's not going so well. It's going, I guess. I had a pint of ice cream today, or rather, frozen yogurt. So
did you really?
I did.
What kind?
I forget what it's called. Half baked, I think it was called. Ben and Jerry's, very good stuff. Very good stuff. Even if I don't find a job, I can always drown my sorrows away in some wonderful Ben and Jerry's frozen yogurt.
Sometimes...
Send me a case. Yes, Chris.
Yes?
If Ben & Jerry's wants to thank me specifically for plugging their wonderful assortment of frozen yogurts, how can they do that?
Well, they can do it on Twitter at antenna_heads. It's the easiest way to get in touch with us, really, because we're always on Twitter. Yeah. If they would like to contact us through, well, that's besides the point. If other people besides Ben & Jerry's want to listen to, well, Ben & Jerry's, if they want to listen to our episodes, that's fine too. I mean, we're not, going to say Ben and Jerry can't listen to Antenna Heads. But if they would like to, they can find new episodes and old episodes on broadcast.com. They can also listen to our episodes on SoundCloud, It sounded like I said sound clown. Okay, again, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher, iTunes, and on YouTube. They can subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and they can rate us in pretty much all of those places because rating is nice. We like to know what you're thinking about what we're cooking. And that is all.
That's right. This is a cooking podcast. This is, I don't know what this
We're cooking up some...
no, I'm not doing another one.
I'm not even going to do this one anymore.
There's a reason I only do one a week. There's a reason that Sabrina podcast never came to fruition. It might still be in the works. Don't tell anyone.
Was it Salem?
Salem. You put a hex on me.
That bitch ass cat.
What's It's a very good theme song. Time to end the show, folks. Take care.
I was going to go try on a bunch of different outfits.
I'm probably going to go eat some chicken nuggets and drink some more wine. Take it away, Brian.
So for Chicken Nugget Al and Cristina,
it's not my nickname.
Chicken Nugget Al.
Cristina Araujo, this is Brian Cassis saying thank you for listening to episode 87 of Antenna Heads.